Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department. A look back at 50 years of service to the Laytonsville community.
Laytonsville was and is still today a small community nestled in the northeastern part of Montgomery County, Maryland. At that time, the town lacked a structured fire service and relied upon the citizens of the community coming together to a neighbor's aid. It wasn't long before the growing communities nearby had established their own fire department, and the town of Laytonsville would rely upon their services in the event of a fire. It was in the early 1950s, after several structures had burned to the ground, that the town realized it would need a fire department of its own. A group of town residents, now known as our charter members, held meetings in their homes to try and put a structured fire department together. The Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated was chartered by the state of Maryland on June 17, 1952, with 99 charter members. A small group of members donated a total amount of $100, which paid for a 1930 Brockway pumper that was purchased from the Hightstown Volunteer Fire Department. In January of 1954, the first bylaws were adopted and officers were elected. In May of 1954, the Ladies Auxiliary was organized. 1 month later, the Woodman Hall at the corner of Howard Avenue and Route 108 in the town of Laytonsville was donated by the Woodmen and renovated for use as a firehouse. Brick was added to the exterior of the structure. After making the downstairs of the old Woodman Hall capable of housing fire trucks and the upstairs to hold functions and meetings, the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department's building was completed. These quarters were dedicated on July the 17th, 1953. Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department was officially in service on January the 24th, 1954. The president was Al Perry, and Spencer Brown Sr. was the first fire chief. A tanker truck was donated by the G.D. Armstrong Fuel Company to haul large amounts of water. Ambulance service was instituted a few years later by using an acquired military ambulance. A new ambulance was purchased in 1959. A brush unit was purchased for woods and field fires. At that time, citizens in need of the fire department would call the Emergency Communications Center located in Rockville. The dispatcher would then call the firehouse on the phone line. This phone call would then set off the local siren that could be heard for miles around. Members, upon hearing this, would go to the firehouse. Once a crew had arrived, the truck would respond to the emergency. The Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department was growing in its membership and had already ordered a new pumper when all came to a sudden stop around noon on February the 4th, 1965. Charter member Nelson Whipp was across the street and could barely speak as he reported that the Laytonsville's firehouse was on fire.
You at the Laytonsville? Yeah, I thought house is falls apart. Please give some help. Your firehouse there? That's right. Okay, I'll do that right there. Right. Box 17-8, company 17 and 8, the Laytonsville firehouse for a building fire. 1148. Fire rescue.
Hello, this is Mrs. Barnes at Laytonsville. I think the Laytonsville firehouse is on fire. It's a lot of smoke coming out of the back.
Yeah, see the whistle last time? Well, you can't do it because it's burned the lines.
Oh my gosh.
We got to get this done right away.
Oh, well, thanks a lot, guys.
Okay. They got any apparatus out there?
They haven't even got in the doors as far as I know.
Okay, we'll send some more company in there.
It's burning real bad.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Second alarm on box 17-8, company 4 and 13, the Laytonsville firehouse. Is that engine 42? Okay, 42, 1154. No instructions as yet. As far as we know, the apparatus of 17 is still in quarters. Engine 8-1, can you give me a report? Oh, Bill is fully involved. All the equipment still in house. We're trying to get what we can out. Third alarm. Companies 3, 21, and truck 5 are responding. 1208 on the Laytonsville firehouse.
Fire spread quickly throughout the old wood frame structure. Although there was some speculation of a faulty furnace or perhaps bad wiring, the cause of the fire had never been determined. Those who were able came to the firehouse to try to help in any way they could. Chief Wyndham had entered the burning firehouse in an attempt to get the equipment out. He had to be physically pulled out of the burning structure. Francis Barber had burns to his hands after he made several attempts, but was driven back by the intense heat. With the exception of a new pumper which was on order, and the 1930 Brockway pumper, which was kept in a separate garage, all of Laytonsville's fire apparatus was lost. Charter member Charlie Johnson remembers that day well.
My wife called me and said the firehouse is on fire. I couldn't believe it. I came out of that house, I looked at Laytonsville and I could see black smoke rolling. When I got to Laytonsville, well, as I came out to 108, Sandy Springs' first truck was coming up. I followed that right into the firehouse, but I couldn't get to it. I parked at the schoolhouse and walked the rest of the way. I had my fire gear because that's the only reason it didn't burn up, because I had it in my truck and I bought it originally to start with. And I got that, our fires were full and rock all over. Masters Fire Department was there, Sandy Spring was there, Edelsburg was there, and all around. And to come to find out, the only fire we had in town was frozen. We couldn't get any water out of it. We were there all day until about 3 o'clock in the morning, and the firehouse was burnt to the ground, just about. Well, they reorganized that night, had a big meeting with the Lions Club and a few other people. We started back to the rehabilitating of the firehouse.
The way that the community and all of the surrounding fire jurisdictions helped us to get back into service and cooperated so well in the near onset of this happening that we became a real strong organization.
With borrowed equipment from the Gaithersburg, Washington Grove, and Sandy Spring Volunteer Fire Departments, the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department was back in business later that night. The task at hand was to rebuild the fire station. With donated land, the rebuilding of the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department was underway. Pat Richards chaired the fundraising committee. Meeting after meeting, it was decided that the new firehouse would have 2 double bays, a meeting room, a kitchen, a watch desk area, and a hose tower. It would be 7,000 square feet at a cost of $83,000. Charlie Johnson and James Snyder placed the last block in place in front of the firehouse with the date 1965 inscribed on it. A ceremony marked the official opening of the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department, which was attended by state and county dignitaries as well as citizens from the town on March 13, 1966. The economy now changed the way people live their lives. Emergency calls increased every year, and gone were the days of working in the nearby farm fields or the local business up the street. Answering emergency calls became difficult during the work week. Both men and women found themselves working at jobs further away from home. Without losing focus as to the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department's main objective, the membership knew these calls would still need to be answered. With salary money from the county government, it was decided that the Laytonsville Fire Station would hire paid firefighters to assist in answering these calls. The first career person started working at Station 17 on January the 1st, 1975. Currently, 17 career firefighters work on various shifts at the Laytonsville Firehouse. With the 70s came many changes to the fire service. With rural water supply in mind, Laytonsville led the way with the purchase of apparatus designed for larger pumping capabilities and water carrying capacities. A tandem axle Chevy Bison was purchased in 1978 for use as an engine tanker. It carried 2,100 gallons of water. Minnie, the 1930 Brockway pumper, was the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department's first pumper. Minnie has long since retired for duty. Minnie is still used for parades, and rides are given to children at the annual open house. James Snyder and David Music have spent many hours keeping Minnie running mechanically and making sure she shined for every occasion. Buddy Sutton now has this task today. Minnie was dedicated at the 1972 annual banquet. Fire department tasks are sometimes put to fun in competition. The members of the Laytonsville Fire Department would often find themselves at one end of a rope during a tug-of-war competition or hooking up a series of hoses at the highly competitive hookup contest against other departments. Not to be outdone, the members of the Laytonsville hookup team still today holds the county record of 12 seconds time for the hookup competition. Although we said goodbye to the 70s, we also made way for the 1980s with a wealth of knowledge gained. A hydraulic hearse rescue tool was added to engine 172 in time to see the heavily tree-lined Route 108 become the scene of many tragic vehicle accidents. Route 108 was nicknamed Killer Highway. The National Transportation Safety Board had listed Route 108 as one of the top 10 deadliest stretches of roadways in the nation. A small box-type truck was added to the fleet to take the load off of carrying rescue tools on engine 172. This vehicle was known as Special Unit 17 and was placed in service in 1983. After this unit was placed in service, the time of extracting trapped patients was cut in half. A few years later, in 1986, Special Unit 17 was replaced by a much larger truck known as Rescue Squad 17. An addition was added to the firehouse, making way for more offices and an apparatus maintenance bay. An office service manager was hired to help out with the day-to-day administrative tasks. Big developers soon moved into the area, which gave the opportunity for live house burning drills. Fundraising has always been an important part of the history of the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department. It was through fundraising chairman Pat Richards and many people like him who were instrumental that this firehouse even got started. Enough cannot be said for the Ladies Auxiliary of the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department. They are an organization that was started to help defer the operating cost of purchasing equipment for the department. They often conduct fundraising events such as spaghetti dinners and bake tables throughout the year with a donation check given to the general membership at the annual banquet. They also respond to the scene of major incidents with food and drinks. The marching unit and tug-of-war team of the Laytonsville Ladies Auxiliary has also received many trophies from local parades and events right up to the state competitions. In 2003, the Ladies Auxiliary of the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department lost its last living charter member, Margaret Johnson. She will be dearly missed, as well as all of the members of the Ladies Auxiliary past. They have played such an important role as to where the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department is today and have laid the path for the future. Fundraising was also made fun with a friendly baseball game. Tickets were sold to the public to watch the members of the Laytonsville and Damascus Volunteer Fire Departments play baseball. The only difference was the players were not allowed to move anywhere unless they were on the back of a donkey. This left sore spots for weeks. Open house at Station 17 has always been a big event for the public and for the men and women of the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department as well. Members demonstrate what it is they do behind the scenes. Without losing focus as to their existence, members have contests for local area school children with fire safety in mind.
Here's what Tommy got. All right. Here you go. All right. Third try. Thank you, dear.
Simulated structure fires fascinate the young and old alike. All of this puts into reality the job these members may be faced with every day. Every firefighter has a pass attached to them now as we enter into the 1990s. Technology has made its way as automatic defibrillators are now carried on fire trucks. Tanker operators can dump water with a flip of a switch from inside the cab. Thermal imagers are just around the corner as the year 2000 rolls in. In September of 2001, a group of members from the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department extended their services after hijacked airplanes crashed into the World Trade Center in New York City and into the Pentagon in Virginia. Knowing that help would be needed, these members were up for the challenge of making a difference, and did so.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Clark.
From the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service, we'd like to thank Laytonsville Volunteer Fire Department for 70 years of great service, serving our community. I wish you many more.
Hello everybody, my name is Melissa Millay. I am a reporter and anchor at NBC4 in Washington. I grew up in Montgomery County. I went to Laytonsville Elementary School for a time, and let me tell you what, I am so grateful to you guys. Happy 70th anniversary to the Laytonsville District Volunteer Fire Department. You guys have done so much good in the community for so many years. We are so grateful for you. Congratulations, here's to another 70 years.
One of the biggest things I've seen are the young people and their work ethics. Some seem to be very strong, some seem to be very motivated, and some are just curious of what the fire service is all about. But as they get more and more involved, get more and more experience, you start to see their motivation, their positivity. They're willing to help people get stronger and stronger. So, my grandfather helped start communications for the county back in the 50s at Silver Spring. My uncle was a career firefighter in the district DC Fire Department, and my father was a volunteer in Prince George's County in Langley Park. So the fire department's always been around me in some shape or form, but it wasn't until I got out of high school that the fire department took off for me. Started to have more time, started to have the passion to try to do it. And of course, I got started at Sandy Spring because the chief at the time was Guy Brules, and I knew him from working on the farm. So that led into meeting a member of Laytonsville in my Firefighter 1 class, which he invited me to stop by, which I did. And while I was at the firehouse that day, we got a call. I jumped on, we came back, and Gary Bowles reached out to shake my hand, and he said, "Welcome to Laytonsville Fire Department." And I never left. And I've been here ever since. So when I joined, all I wanted to do was be a driver. The trucks were a passion of mine, so driving trucks was the easy part. The hard part was getting my education and learning how to operate the pumps. And as I started to take classes and I started to get pretty confident in the area of pumping water, auto extrication, it was encouraged to me by a member, Matt Montgomery, to continue with my training. And as time went on, my encouragement became more and more positive. Feelings and emotions that I was getting somewhere, to where some of the senior members, Murphy Richards, Chief Snyder, saw something in me to where I became more active in the administrative side of it, which then led to operational side of it, and then confidence building, having good experiences, bad experiences, and I think just coming in at the right time of change in the fire service, I started to comprehend it and started to gain respect, both career and volunteer, that I could do this and had an understanding of it. I'm far from the best and I'm far from perfect, but I learn in every event that I go to, and I try to take away from every event that I've been involved with.
My whole family, from my grandfather, father, charter members, formed the fire department. I've grown up in it since I was knee-high. I was in 6th grade at the school when the firehouse burned down. I watched it burning down at the end of the building. Joined when I was 16 in July of '69. My first call was on a Sunday after I got voted in on Wednesday. I ran across the schoolyard and stood on the other side of the street because I didn't know what to do at the time. And Dave Music pulled in. He said, "You just were voted in Wednesday night." And I said, "Yep." He said, "Well, get the hell over here. You're going." Grabbed some gear, and I got in the old Ford tanker, and down the road we went. I guess one of the biggest changes is when the county took over. It was a lot more fun before then. I would say that's the biggest change was when the county took over and things got a little more hectic. Like I said earlier, it was fun, and in the last 20 years, it's to me not as fun as it used to be. I mean, when call comes in, the siren blew, people ran up and down the street to get to the firehouse, and so did I. Riding the back step. That was fun. My peers did, I guess. I mean, I really wasn't anxious to do that, but they came to me and I started as a sergeant and worked my way up until Jim Snyder pulled me aside. He said, I want to give up being chief. You've been my deputy chief for years. Why don't you take it? And that's when I started being chief. Being chief, being treasurer for 40+ years. Just got elected into the Hall of Fame at Maryland State. That was one of my goals, is to get on the rolls of that. Another milestone was when I started driving the ambulance. And then Chief Darnell came to me and said, we're going to train you to drive the Ford engine. And one of your requirements to drive the Ford engine is be able to take it through Mary Brooks Curve at 50 miles an hour without downshifting. And I passed all those tests, and I was driving fire engines and loved it after that. I've been in 55 years, so keep going what I'm doing.
You always hear on their worst day, they're trying to make a bad situation better. Of course, I learned early from Guy Brules, Chief Brules I was talking about. He said we're here for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. Save lives and protect property. And when you lose sight of those 2 things, there's going to be problems. And such a true statement. So the reward is so many different ways. One is, of course, you're helping people that need the help, trying to make a situation better or stabilize the situation. And then for me now at a leadership level is to watch the young people coming up through the ranks and doing what you did when you started and seeing what you have passed on to them. I hope there is never an end at Laytonsville, that the volunteer service will continue as time goes on.